I caught him staring again. Not just a glance, he was fixated. Eyes low, eyes hungry. Brian wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. I stood in the hallway, the morning sunlight cutting across my chest from the bathroom door, and I saw him at the bottom of the stairs, pretending to scroll through his phone. I should have turned away. I should have covered up. But I didn't. I stood there and let him look. My heart pounded, not with fear, but with power. Because that morning I realized something. He'd been watching me like that for weeks. But I'd never let him know that I knew. I'd never acknowledged it. And for the first time, I wanted to know what would happen if I let him keep watching, if I gave him something worth watching. But what happened next? It was never just about lust. It went deeper. Too deep. And it cost me something I can never get back. Before I continue, I just want to say a big thank you to all my amazing subscribers. Your support, your comments, your shares, your love, it means everything. And to my new and returning viewers who haven't subscribed yet, I can't wait for you to hit that button. That's the fuel that keeps this channel alive. Don't forget to leave a comment, share your thoughts, and tap that like button if this story pulls you in. Now back to that morning. Back to the man who would turn my world upside down. Brian was my best friend's younger brother. 5 years younger, actually. He was 35, charming, polite, and newly divorced. He'd moved into our basement suite 2 months earlier, just trying to get back on his feet. My husband, Ron, barely noticed. He was too caught up in work, the stock market, and his quiet time in the garage. Ron hadn't touched me in nearly 7 months. He said he was tired. I stopped asking. The silence between us had become our normal. Brian, though, he started off respectful. Too respectful, even. But then little moments started creeping in. A compliment about my hair. A look that lingered just a bit too long. Then the stares, always when Ron wasn't around. At first, I brushed it off. Told myself I was imagining it. But deep down, I felt it. That thrill. That spark I thought I'd lost. One night, after a long bath, I stood in front of the mirror wrapped only in a towel and realized something. I was pretending not to notice him in the doorway. But I did. His breathing shifted. His grip tightened around the cup in his hand. And when I slowly turned and caught his eyes on me, I smiled. He looked away, instantly embarrassed, but not ashamed. No, not Brian. There was something else behind those eyes. And that's when I knew he wanted more than just to look. But I didn't realize I had just opened a door neither of us would know how to close. There's something dangerously addicting about being seen. Not just noticed, really seen. And Brian? He looked at me like I was the last woman left on earth. After that morning in the hallway, everything changed. I started testing the limits. Shorts a little tighter than usual. A silk robe that never quite stayed closed. A slow bend when picking something up from the floor, always when he was near. And every single time I could feel it. His stare. His hesitation. His hunger. It became a game. A slow, silent, burning game. Neither of us admitted we were playing until one evening. Ron was working late again. The sun had dipped behind the trees, and the kitchen glowed with soft amber light. I stood barefoot on the tile, wearing a fitted white tank top, no bra, and low-rise lounge pants that hugged me just enough to reveal my shape without revealing too much. Brian came upstairs, said he needed foil for leftovers. But I knew better. He could have asked me to bring it down. Instead, he lingered. He leaned against the fridge while I pretended to search the drawers, arching my back slightly as I opened a cabinet. I could feel him behind me, silent, watching. My heartbeat pounded like a drum in my ears. Finally, I turned around slowly. His eyes dropped before he could stop them, straight to my chest. I saw the flush rise in his neck. When he realized I caught him, I stepped a little closer. "Did you find the foil?" I asked almost in a whisper. He nodded, but said nothing. His eyes met mine, and this time he didn't look away. They were dark, desperate, controlled, but barely. It was all right there on his face. He wanted me. His jaw tensed. He stepped forward. His hand lifted, hovering, almost touching me, then pulled back. "I should go," he said, his voice hoarse and tight. He turned and walked out, Not fast, not panicked, like he needed to leave before something happened. And the worst part? I wanted him to stay. That night, guilt hit me hard. I lay beside my husband, Ron snoring softly, unaware, and stared at the ceiling. What the hell was I doing? I was a married woman. I had made vows, built the life. But none of that seemed to matter when Brian looked at me like that. The next day, I avoided him. I needed space. I needed to clear my head. But fate, or something darker, had other plans. It rained that night. Hard. The wind howled. The power flickered. I went to check the basement for leaks. Brian had mentioned some dripping noises earlier that week. I threw on a hoodie, nothing revealing, and headed downstairs. He was there, shirtless, sweat glistening on his chest as he worked out, punching a bag in the corner. His breath was heavy, his muscles taut. He stopped when he saw me. "Everything okay?" he asked, grabbing a towel. "Just checking for leaks," I replied. Silence. I turned to leave, but he called out, "Margaret." I froze. He walked up behind me slowly. I could feel his heat. "I don't want to disrespect you," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "But I can't stop thinking about you, about what you're doing to me." I turned to face him. Our eyes locked, and something in me snapped. The restraint, the fear, the memory of who I was supposed to be gone. Even as our bodies pressed together in the dim basement light, one truth echoed in my mind. We had just crossed a line, and there was no going back. It wasn't just once. That night became 3, then 5. Then I stopped counting. Whenever Ron was gone, work trips, late nights, conferences, Brian appeared. Sometimes it started innocently. A movie, a drink, a lingering touch that turned into more. I'd slip back into my room before dawn, before the birds even sang. Each time felt more dangerous, more addictive, like fire pressed to dry leaves. And then it happened. One afternoon, I walked into the laundry room to fold towels. Just 20 minutes earlier, I'd slipped out of Brian's room, my body still tingling, lips still swollen. I thought I had time, but something felt off. Ron was home early, sitting at the kitchen table, briefcase on the floor. Face blank, too blank. "Where were you?" he asked, not looking up. I froze. "Laundry." He looked up right through me. "I saw you," he said. 3 words. That's all it took for my blood to freeze. "I came home early," he continued. "I saw you come out of his room, zipping up your pants." My knees nearly gave out. I grabbed the counter to stay upright. "Ron, He raised a hand. "Don't. Just don't." His voice cracked. I hadn't heard emotion from him in months, maybe years. But now it poured out. Betrayal. Rage. Hurt. I tried to explain. Tried to say how lonely I'd been. How invisible I felt. How he had stopped seeing me long before Brian ever did. But none of it mattered. I had crossed a line I could never uncross. That night, Ron packed a bag and left. No yelling. No slamming doors. Just silence. Brian didn't come upstairs for 2 days. When he finally did, I confronted him, numb, hollow. "Do you even care?" I asked. "Do you feel anything?" He looked guilty, but not devastated. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen," he said. "I never wanted to ruin your life." And just like that, it hit me. It was never love. It was lust. An escape. A fantasy played out in real time. And I was foolish enough to believe it could be more. He moved out the following week. Said it was best for everyone. He hugged me goodbye. No apology. No promises. Just silence. It's been 6 months. Ron and I are separated. No calls. No counseling. Just cold space. Sometimes, late at night in the kitchen, I think about that morning, when I let Brian look, and I wonder, if I had turned away instead of standing still, would any of this have happened? If I had spoken to Ron earlier, tried harder, fought for us, would we still be whole? But I can't go back. I can only sit with the lesson. Sometimes being seen isn't the same as being loved. And sometimes what feels like freedom is just another kind of trap. Have you ever been tempted beyond reason? Was Margaret wrong from the start? Or did Ron's neglect open the door? I want to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. If this story struck a nerve, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Your support keeps these true stories coming. Remember, every choice has a consequence. And sometimes, the thrill is never worth the cost.